Okay, I'd like to call the meeting of July 18th, 2023 of the Library Board to order, excuse me, at 5:06 p.m. If everyone would please stand and pledge allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Brittany, would you please take the roll?
Yes. Let me just get caught up on my notes for a second.
Just the full board.
We're missing Alderperson Schrader and Barb.
Oh, that's right.
But
They must be having a family reunion.
fairly full house, all considering. Given that it's such a beautiful day, I'm impressed more of you didn't play with me. All right.
Some of us come even when we don't have to.
Yes. Yeah, right.
But not tonight.
Nancy, we don't have to talk about that. It never happened. Okay, here we go. Gail.
I'm here.
Carrie. Here. Tony. Here. Michelle. Here. Tracy.
Here.
Nancy. Here. Phyllis. Here. Excused are Alderperson Schrader and Barb. We have the quorum.
All right, thank you. If you would please reply to the statement of public notice.
This meeting was noticed in accordance with the open meeting law.
All right, thank you. I am not seeing anyone for public comment, so we can move to the next item on the agenda. Looking for, a motion to approve the minutes of June 20th, 2023, as well as the June 2023 financials.
So moved.
Did you get those?
Yes, thank you.
All right, any discussion?
On page 6, it's 2/3 of the way down by Dunkel Educational for Tattle Tape. I was just curious what that is.
It's literally what it sounds like. It's metal tape that's in the books, and when you walk through the security gates, if you don't turn it off, it tattles on you by sounding the alarms. Yeah.
Okay.
Once we are done with our RFID tagging, we will no longer have to purchase tattle tape anymore because the gate will sense RFID tag. The cool thing about that is tattle tape is 25 cents a strip, which if you think about how many books we have here, it's a ridiculous cost. So it'll be really exciting to end that purchase. Yep.
If I may, right about that.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like we spent about $1,000 for the bid process for media. Are those required locations? And
Yes.
Yes. So
Yep.
do we build that cost into our process?
Yeah, so I charged it to the, hold on. Actually I didn't. I charged it to operating.
Okay.
Just to make room in the
So when you're
construction
figuring out a bid, you know that you have an additional XYZ of posting costs,
Now-
if that's what they're called.
Yeah, and of course the tragedy is because we received no bids on our study room,
Yeah.
we have to do it again.
Yeah.
And I asked the city attorney, I said, so everyone had their chance, now I can just go find a contractor, and he goes, no, you have to put it out to bid again. And I was like, but they had their chance.
Yeah.
It's not my fault they didn't bid on it, so anyway, I'm working on that. I'm talking with the city attorney and the city to see if we can possibly combine projects with the project, because the city didn't get bid on theirs either, to try to make it more appealing. So,
That makes some sense.
yeah.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, I do have, on page 10, how many months have I looked at this? And my question is that the headers say 23 current year budget, and the numbers are identical. Okay? But then I look at 23 current year actual, they both say the same thing, but the numbers are different. What am I not understanding?
All right, let's see here.
Is there something wrong in the headers, or I don't need to know the detail of, everything that's in that column, but.
Yeah, let me talk to Michelle. So I feel like there's a redundant column here, right? The one that's repeating the numbers, and I'm not sure why that's happening.
Because to me, the current year actual would be just by its number, the first column, but then I don't understand the second column that's related to that.
The current year actual is year to date, from January to the most present period.
Exactly.
Right. The one after that is how much was spent, I think, in the last month of that.
So shouldn't that say current month?
I would think so, yeah.
So it just threw me,
that.
and I've never really looked at the headers before.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
honestly, either did I. So I'll ask about that.
And why would we have two of the first two?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm going to ask about that. It is one of those things where, kind of like when the packet pages disappeared for a while.
So, I don't know if there's another column that could go in there that, but it just, what am I not getting right here? Okay.
I'll look into that.
And every figure is the same, so.
Yeah.
Every number is the same.
Yeah, it is. So, but then I applied that logic to the next two, and they weren't. And I'm like, what is going on here? I don't understand.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, hearing nothing, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Because obviously we have no one remote, correct?
Correct.
That would be correct, yeah. Okay, I don't have to wait then. Okay, President's report. I will acquiesce to you because you have a couple things to talk to us about on the Director's report.
Yeah, packet page 16 is where the Director's report starts. The garden walk was amazing. So such credit to the Friends and library staff who worked together.
I think it's like 13.
Page 13. Yeah, what did I say?
16.
Don't listen to me.
I'm so happy you were looking.
Packet page 13, sorry. The garden walk was wonderful. It was beautiful weather.
Yeah.
There were lots of amazing volunteers. People were just so excited, right, because it's the third year. So, people specifically set aside that day. They came with their friends. Some people came from out of town. It was really beautiful to see the excitement to go and see your neighbors, garden. So it really, it's one of those moments where, you have, it's good for the library because we had lots of people coming in the library for the craft part. It's fundraising for the library, but also it was something for people to do that's really affordable, and it really highlighted some of the amazing things going on by community people, either their gardens or the art that they do. So, yeah, it was awesome. And of course, lots of credit to the co-chairs, Maria and Judy. And also, thank you for those of you. Nancy volunteered and Barb volunteered, and that was super fun to
I volunteered for the whole day, and I was out of business by 11 o'clock.
Nancy's good at selling things.
Oh, you were doing
You bought a chance for $15, and you couldn't win anything less than $15.
Oh, were those the gift cards?
Yes.
Yeah, so I noticed that. That cupboard was bare. There was nothing left.
We'll talk about this with the Friends, of course, but I hope there's room to grow because I have heard so many positive things about
Yeah, that's it.
The event as a whole, you mean, or the gift card?
the whole event.
Yeah, the whole event.
Yeah.
To grow.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So I missed the Friends meeting on Monday because I was on vacation, which was super cool. But I'm going to follow up next month with them. I think that we had just enough volunteers this year to execute what we had. So the real question is, can we grow it by growing our volunteer base? I mean, I think that's really something in the off season we need to talk about in order to continue to expand. So.
When I was talking to Barb, she said, because we were at her house for her grandson's graduation party, and her house is beautiful with all sorts of gardening and stuff. And I said, you should really do it too, or something. She goes, but everything blooms at her house later. So I'm like, I wonder if you could have an early bloom and a late bloom garden walk.
Yeah.
But wait, as a little.
You know, because there's different plants that bloom at different times.
I actually had that discussion with my landscaper too. We thought the day was too late because you don't get you don't get the spring, all the spring.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So we had a similar discussion about the timing of it. Because my garden, there isn't a whole lot blooming right at that time.
It sounds to me like there's no optimum.
Oh, I'm sure there's not. I mean, and
I'm just
that
saying
we had no rain.
Well, I think we should have 2 teas because that tea was a sellout.
Well, and what I will tell you is the amount of energy it takes to do 1 tea and 1 garden walk is a lot.
I'm sure.
And so I think I can confidently speak for the volunteers when I say that we would need to see a huge expansion in volunteers to make that happen. So, you know, I'll mention it to them, certainly. I'm working.
Well, maybe you could partner with FBLA or Student Council, because they're always looking for hours.
Sure.
And I'm sure that they would.
I already have a lady who wants to have a tea.
Yeah, I mean, I'll mention that. I certainly, I'm here to assist the Friends, but given that a huge portion of what it is their execution, they would have to be, you know, comfortable with that. So.
Do the people who attend the tea, do they miss out on other parts of the garden walk that day?
So the garden tours are well, most of the things are open all day from 9 to 4. So for the folks who go to the tea from 11 to 12 or 11 to 12:30, they can hit up everything else that happens after or before the tea.
Okay.
And it was actually kind of fun. This is something Maria thought of because the people who the garden hosts don't get to see everyone's gardens because they're at. We do a walkthrough a couple days before with the garden host, and we go and tour everyone's garden. So that's a good way to, you know, I don't know, say thank you to the folks who are doing it.
Mm-hmm. I can't think of another scenario where we could make $11,000 one day. It's incredible.
Yeah.
That is really good.
I'm very, very proud of the Friends. I mean, it took a lot of work, and the library staff, too, to try to pivot from the beer and wine tasting, which had sort of run its course. There were lots of other beer and wine tastings. It wasn't attracting. We needed to think of something new. So this was a good revitalization of fundraising.
Do you have last year's numbers by any chance?
I feel like it was about 7,000.
7,000, and wasn't it about 300 tickets, if I remember right?
Yeah, we sold 100 tickets the day of. A lot of people waited.
Wow.
For the weather.
Yeah.
I do think there are weather watchers out there, yeah.
Well, please thank them on our behalf as a board. It's very much appreciated.
Let's see. Other than that, our summer reading numbers are fantastic. So many people signing up. 700 on the 6 to 11 age alone. Right, definitely over 1,000 just with the kids. That doesn't even include teens and adults. I don't have those numbers for you unless
Amanda did.
Did she? Oh yeah, there we go. 170 teens. So that is really exciting.
Is the Figureheads a band?
Yes.
They came to Country Meadows and performed. Because they do the song from the top tippy tip down to you know, the one that I can't think of her name. The music. What was her name?
Sarah?
No. No. At Country Meadows.
Chantel.
Yes. She would always do that song at the end of the thing, and that's the guy that performed it.
Oh.
Yeah, we brought him to. Is that cool?
Mm-hmm.
He has a song that all the kids sing.
Let's see what else. Our next library board meeting is August 15th, and the next Friends First Friday Coffee is August 4th at 9:30. Let's see here. What else? I already talked to you about the study room project. I have to take it back up to bid, but I'm working on that. You may have seen the visual boards as you came in. We have had them out for about a month now, so we're going to take them down probably pretty soon. Lots of great feedback for that. The community survey kicked off July 5th. That was the formal kickoff. It's going to run July and August. I have a 22-point marketing strategy. So far, I've done like a third of it, so I'm going to keep pushing out the different marketing in waves, trying to catch different people. And we have had 196 responses so far. So given that we really started July 5th, that's a great start. My goal is to get to at least 400. 500 would be a great stretch goal. So working on that. We hired for the adult services librarian position. So if you recall, Stan promoted into Alka's position upon her retirement. And so we're really excited to have that individual start July 31st. And two other things on my report. So there's something called an oak box, which contains Narcan nasal spray, fentanyl testing strips, and some other things. The Waukesha County Health and Human Services Department is looking for host sites. And this was something that I ran past the mayor and the city attorney just to, say, like, as a city entity, the staff wouldn't be distributing Narcan. By that I mean we would be handing it to people. We wouldn't be administering Narcan. It's just Waukesha County's goal as part of the opioid settlement to try and create awareness and also have public places where people can pick it up and keep it in their homes. So
I see how this goes. Okay.
Yeah, it's just meant to because most overdoses do take place in people's homes, and so they're just trying. A lot of people may not feel comfortable going and talking to their doctor about it, but if they can anonymously pick up one and just have it in their home or in their purse.
Well, it won't be anonymous, will it?
Well, it'd be in the bathrooms, the boxes. So
So they don't check it out or anything?
No.
Just
no, we have, aside from having it on a wall, we wouldn't, And then it gets refilled by the Waukesha County Health Department. It's free. They pay for it. It's part of the, again. Like
so they're looking for wall space.
They're looking for wall space and
here.
places, public places, like government agencies and nonprofits.
And the response of the mayor and the attorney were okay.
Yeah.
Are they going to have one at City Hall?
I'm not sure.
I feel like that would be a good place to have one.
Yeah, I'm not sure. That's a good
About a
question.
police station or
For
something.
the fire station?
Yeah.
I know that it was mentioned by the mayor at a department head meeting in general, so all the department heads heard it. So, anyway, I'm going to pick up those.
The police and the fire department have it already.
But not boxes to give
No,
to
not
families.
boxes to
Yeah. Yeah. I just think, like, if I was thinking of picking up something like that, I don't know if I would think of the library.
Sure.
Right.
But I would think more like the
I
police
think it would have to
station.
be, like,
Are you going to
have a
advertise
sign
it?
or...
I don't know. That's an interesting question. If you look at the condition of our bathrooms, but also our foot traffic, lots of people go in there. So it's this interesting way of sort of advertising without really advertising. It feels a little weird to be like, hey, we have, Narcan available.
Right.
So I think I would honestly just leave it, knowing that lots of people go to the restrooms. Maybe we'd have like some brochures and like our community information. But I don't know if I would be doing like Facebook pulses about it.
I don't think of it because I would think it's similar to when they were doing the free needles and that kind of thing too. And that was even on the news. Right, that's how I heard about that. So I have no idea how they were distributing those.
How big are these boxes?
Yeah,
I mean, are they
you read my mind.
I think they're like about this big.
So the boxes themselves that people take are relatively small then.
Yeah. I'm thinking
Yeah.
that there's just like, because it's fentanyl testing strips, some pamphlets, and then I think the nasal sprays, So I don't know how many units they have of it. So, we'll see how we can.
Well, the way this fentanyl thing is going,
Well, to me, the
I
fentanyl
think-
testing strips are really interesting too, because that was one of the things that staff were concerned about. They were like, we get so much stuff that comes back, and sometimes there's stuff on it, and they were just curious. Like, we actually had the police department come and do a training on like fentanyl because they were just curious to learn more about it. So to me, obviously the Narcan would be of interest to people, but also just for people concerned about trying to recognize substances that might be around. So.
Isn't it sad that we have to talk about this?
Yeah.
But my understanding of fentanyl, and believe me, I am ignorant, is that you don't have time for a testing strip. I mean, if somebody, so it would have to be administered probably by somebody else who suspected that somebody.
Well, the testing strip is just, I see some powder on my whatever, I'm curious if this has fentanyl in it, because you can absorb it through your skin. So like, let's say a library book got returned, or let's say somebody left something on my porch. If I had a fentanyl testing strip, I could know if it has fentanyl in it or not.
Okay.
Narcan is what combats the opioid. And you're right, being able to administer it yourself is likely not true, but there are studies that show that at least for teenagers, if there's going to be an overdose, it often occurs in their room while the parents are at home. It's not like they're doing it under the bleachers or whatnot. And so if parents are able to have some Narcan in their home, just in case, they might be able to administer it. And,
Okay. All right.
Okay, so there's that. On a more cheery note, I wanted to give you guys a just a really brief update on the 2023 action plan. One of my goals was to provide more frequent updates regarding the progress. So a lot of the elements that I do in my director's report are updates on the action plan. So you've seen updates in previous director reports about like the bathrooms, the study rooms, the marketing plan, the staff training, strategic planning efforts, all that's updates related to our action plan. But what I will do from July through December is continue to update you on other action items that have not been discussed to date, and so there are 5 updates that I listed below. I won't go over them because in respect of time, but those are just some more updates for you to read about related to our 2023 action plan.
May I ask on the spotlight speaker, I think now was this person paid, Deidre Irwin?
I don't know if she was paid or not.
Because then I think, as we look at doing more of this, do the cost-benefit analysis and see if, if it was well attended.
It had about 24 people. I don't know if we paid her. I think that was one of the tours that they do after.
Okay.
So I don't know if that one was paid. Honestly, trying to do a really large Bridges library system is going to be giving every library next year $400 to use towards adult programs. And one of the things that was thrown out there is, what if libraries combined that to try to get a really big, a bigger draw? So who knows, something like that may happen.
Can I ask you a question about it says in here that the security gates aren't installed yet for the RIS. Then how are you knowing that those books aren't leaving? Do they also have that tape on them?
So while I'm not fond of double dipping, at this time I've told staff, when you process the book, put the tag in it and still put the tattle tape in so that we're not losing product. Right. Not that we have a huge issue with that, but you never know. And then once we're almost done with the collection, then we'll stop tattle taping because we won't need to.
So that'll be a huge savings.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be done with that. Plus, it's a pain in the butt. It's a strip. Tony's nodding. You have to peel it, then you have to try to stick it in the book just right, and if you get it crooked, it's annoying. And then it is Trustee Training Week, August 21st through 25th, and the state just has some different webinars that may or may not be of interest to you, so I included the link there in case you'd like to sign up. So that is my director's report.
All right. Okay, next item on the agenda is unfinished business. Seeing nothing on that list, we move directly down to new business. The first item being discussion/action on library card usage policy updates, the second read. So what I think is the best thing, since you're looking for action here, is to look for a motion to approve. Would that work for you?
Yep.
Yeah, at this point. Okay, looking for a motion to approve the library card usage policy well, not the update. The usage policy. Okay. Thank you, Michelle. Any second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Carrie. Okay, now it's time for discussion.
I think I missed my chance to ask a question on the monthly stats Should I wait?
Oh, I have no objection.
Okay.
So your overdrive checkouts, by chance, can you tell how many are children checkouts and how many are adults?
That's a great question.
Because we have really been pushing, so it'd be nice to know if that is translating over, so if they're getting it either from you or from us.
I don't know the answer to that. Let me look
Okay.
that up, and I'll try to get you that information if it's there.
Okay.
I will tell you though, has been super fun all summer long. All these kids come in. So Bay Lane Elementary School walks and comes here for visits, and the amount of kids that came in and go, Mom, I told you we were supposed to come here. School had us come here. Like they really did go home after those presentations and told their parents, come back here and sign up for summer reading. So it's fun to see them happily their parents can bring them to the library.
It's reverse mentoring. That's what we call it at school.
Yeah.
Anything else on that page while we're there?
I just noticed that the Canopy Hoopla is up 50% the past 2 months. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, good, but.
And I'm sorry, I didn't hear the first part, Michelle. What?
Oh, I just said the Canopy and Hoopla.
Oh, Canopy and Hoopla.
Uses are up 50% the last 2 months over last year.
Yep.
Do you think that might be more kids doing that too? I know it's different from Overdrive, but.
We do because we offer them, it's Learn 360, and they also have a swing streaming, so they're very comfortable.
Right.
Their teachers send them links for the older kids, so I think they probably could be the higher 5 to 12 maybe.
It's also it's fascinating. The Hoopla has a lot of audiobooks, and audiobooks are king right now. People are they can't get enough of them. That is the highest usage of all the Hoopla content.
Yeah.
So.
Everybody's just listening.
But you're processing sentence structure, you're processing narratives and character development. Yep.
And we have a lot of the little ones have it in their hand, and so also it's the ebooks that we'll read to them, so they still are. And they're with that. We call it one-to-one correspondence, so it's highlighted word by word because some kids can't see spaces. And so having that ebook screen, so if you want to be fluent readers, they read without any stutters in between. It highlights a sentence. If they're just learning the language and sounding out words, they're going one by one. So it does do that too. So they are still reading. So it's
The audiobooks though are adults too though, right?
We have kid audiobooks too.
But the majority are adults.
I would say there's a higher percentage of adult books to kid books. I will tell you though, mission moment related to audiobooks. I had a patron come in, and these are not even the audiobooks from Overdrive or Hoopla. She brought in the playaways, and I'm not sure, they're like the little MP3 players. And she said, these are so important to me because she said I'm very low vision. And she said if I try to use Overdrive or Hoopla on my phone, and I never thought about this with smartphones with low vision, you can't, like tactily with like flip phones, you could sort of feel the bumps and feel the buttons. With a smartphone, you can't do that. And so she said these playaways are a lifeline to her still being able to read because she can feel the buttons and still, she can't read a regular book anymore, even large print. So it was an interesting reminder to me that that we can't just fully abandon playaways for people who have accessibility. So.
There's a really interesting phenomenon to Grey's Anatomy. Those programs that started 2005, that is at the high schools. They are trying to, I had someone ask me because they stream at home and it's under their account, but if their sister goes on, then it goes forward and then they get mixed up and they want their own. And I'm like, okay, I hear what you're saying. Well, have your mom add another account. Or, but don't we have something like that? So they want those. I was shocked how many really are into those old TV programs.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
So I wonder if any of that's in there too.
I do have one thing, since we're on this page. The Owning Hold Shift The way I perceived that was that would be the stuff that's against the wall on the other side of Jane's office. Is that what that is?
No, it's actually owning holds, so items that we own
Right.
that we ship out. So basically, what I'm trying to capture with statistic, because I thought it was important to capture, is that the library staff in circulation, they're not just pulling items off of our shelf and putting it on the whole shelf. They're also pulling items that they are sending out to other libraries. And that's part of our agreement we all have with each other that we'll share with each other. And so I wanted that snapshot to be included because the checkouts help show what tasks the staff perform. But it doesn't capture the 3,117 books that the staff touched a month to send out. Like that's also part of their tasks and duties. It's also what helps us be have a library services effort ratio that makes us a net lender, which means that we can exempt from the Waukesha County Library.
Well, that's kind of what I was asking because it's down a bit, and I don't know what you draw from that. That people aren't liking the collection as much. What are the conclusions that you make on a negative number?
It's not down, right?
Well,
I'm
the
looking
owning
at here.
holds shipped is down 0.8%.
Right, which isn't much, but it just got me thinking about
Yeah.
this. If we're not shipping out as much as we
I mean, that's it's
from years previous.
29 books plus 16. So to me, I don't consider that statistically a relevant difference.
Okay.
But also our library services effort ratio is so high that we could lose several percentage points and still be passing as a net lender.
And I guess it begs the question why it happens, but it's not enough to be concerned about, I guess. So.
No, I mean, because look at 2019. 2019 is sort of that's the year where we peaked. And if you look, a lot of our statistics are recovering really nicely. And if you look at our owning hold shipped in 2019, it was only 17,396. So
up from peak.
I think what you can
that's the best way to look at it.
Yeah, what you can see is that we have leaked a lot since 2019 in the items that we're sending out. 0.8% difference between last year and this year. I consider those numbers pretty even.
Because we were basking in the glow in 2019, I remember it was like, wow, we were doing really good. So anyway, okay, back to the library card usage policy. We do have a motion to approve. We are in the discussion phase. Anybody have anything?
In the first paragraph, the bottom line, it uses the word customer, and I saw all the other ones, you crossed off customer
Oh, there it
and
is.
changed it to patron.
Nuts. Yeah. I did intend to change that to patron.
Yeah, good eye, because I always tend to look at just the stuff that's underlined, so that would have been missed. Good eye. I think in that circumstance, I mean, it's not a material change, so there's no need to amend the motion. I would not see it that way, unless anybody has a major disagreement. Okay, by the silence, it would look like everybody is okay with this. Is that a fair assumption? Yeah.
I did run it by the city attorney, so.
All right, then I'd like to look for a vote unless anybody has any objections. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we have a new library usage policy. With that minor change, obviously.
Yep.
Okay. All right, we'll go back to 1 moment. All right. The second item is discussion/action approval of 2024 operating budget. Same applies here. And look for a motion to approve it.
I move to approve.
Thank you, Carrie. A second?
Second.
Thank you, Phyllis. Okay, now we have time for discussion. And in this, doing it this way, we could always vote the motion down, you know, so I'm not assuming anything at this
Right.
point. Okay? All right.
Alright, so this is reasonably similar to what you saw in June. This is the second look at this. I made a few adjustments based on some numbers that I got between June and July. Just as a reminder, everything in blue is calculated by Human Resources for what it would cost to pay staff in 2024. So that number, those numbers will go up for cost of living, but let's see here. As you pointed out, as Michelle pointed out from the canopy and hoopla usage, I am increasing the electronic materials line item to address that increase. And maintenance of building and grounds, it's just, you know, the building's getting a little older. We're always kind of riding that line or end up being over. So I'd like to try to increase that in case some bigger things happen with especially with our sprinkler system. Let's see here. Housekeeping services, slight increase, just standard projections. Gas and electric. So, did I talk about that last time? There was a rate increase in January. And
You did.
okay. Tracy's like, dear, no, not again. Okay, so anyway, trying to account for the rate increase. That's all I'll say about that. If you look at, let's see here. If you look at computer charges, there is going to be $2,000 that I'm putting towards improved Wi-Fi printing. Right now, our Wi-Fi printing is not mobilely responsive, and it's very difficult for patrons to use. It takes them usually about 20 minutes to print something from their phone, which is a lot when someone wants to come in and print a boarding pass or concert tickets or something like that. So the exciting thing about this upgrade, unlike so many projects that I seem to think would be helpful to the library, it's a one-time charge. We spent $2,000 once, and now patrons can print Microsoft Office products. Right now they can only print PDFs and JPEGs wirelessly or from their personal devices. So this will give us printing of Microsoft Office products. It will get them the ability to print easily from their mobile devices without having to create accounts. And these are three things that have really caused stumbling blocks for patrons when they're trying to print from their either their personal laptops or their mobile devices. So,
Is this just a different company?
same company. It's just we need to get a
Different kind of license?
it's software. It's
Software,
basically just a software coding change they have to make, and need to get the Microsoft Office license for the server.
Sure.
Is there any way that you can also, in that software, add Apple Pay so that people could just pay with that instead of putting cash in there? Because I was here and had to come up with $55
Yeah.
for my 270 copies.
Yeah.
And
So that is a question I will ask them. So right now, if you look at the kiosks that we have, there's paper that covers something, and what that is the credit card swipe.
right.
It involves setting something up, and I don't know what that costs. So I will ask them what it would cost to do that. The other question that I have for them is, would we have to, there's a special word for it. It's when you end up taking the, there's some type of like account you have to create with credit card agencies. I don't know what it's called. It starts with a P. Doesn't matter. I'll update you guys next month about it, because it would be nice to move to that.
Yeah, so like
format.
at St. Leonard's, for our concession area, we didn't have it was always cash, right?
Yep.
And lots of people nowadays don't carry cash around.
Yep.
So we switched over to be able to do Apple Pay and then
Yep.
credit card.
Yep.
And there is a fee, but if you increase your cost a little bit elsewhere, it kind of covers that fee in the end.
Yeah, PCI compliance, that's what I was thinking of. But yes, I will look into that, and I will report back on what it would cost to do that.
Yeah,
While
I
you're
think
doing that, is there any
Yeah.
items, so it kind of
Right.
about payment services?
Yeah.
$55, that would be a
Yeah.
lot of cash for me to find because I just don't carry it.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
So many places
Luckily,
are
you guys
doing
had $5 bills, because it doesn't take
to the
20s either.
If the bank is open.
I know, and those coin ops, if you look at them, they're like beige. And we all know that beige technology means old technology, right? So I do know, I actually just talked to a company, and his coin apps would take $20 bills, and they would do credit cards, but his fee was $7,000.
Ooh.
And I have a conversation with him tomorrow just to try to understand more what he's talking about. So this is what I'll do. I would like that $2,000 because I feel like at minimum we would help patrons. I am going to have that conversation with this gentleman either tomorrow or at some point this week to try to understand, like, did he mean $7,000, but how much of that is annual and how much of that is like a one-time charge? It wasn't clear in the proposal he sent me. And then I will also go back and talk to the current company and say, what would it cost to have the credit card? Because the slots are there, it's just a matter of activating it. So I will report back on that because it would be nice for patrons. I feel like for a time, people weren't wanting to swipe their credit card for that small amount, but we're starting to see, like, if we say service fee, they're like, whatever, you know, like they're just, we need to get the job done, we need to do the business. So I will look into that.
On the other end, with the credit card company, is there a minimum that you can charge? You know, can you charge a nickel on your credit card?
Yes.
Some places, some stores will require a $5 minimum, but I think that's because they eat the service fee, and so they're not willing to do a charge without
Right.
$5.
That makes sense.
Yeah. How are we going to promote this inside the library so people know that they can now do this? If they have been under the impression for a long time that they can't, then when we do this, assuming it's a when we do this,
For the credit card thing?
well, somewhere where now you can do these types of
Yeah,
things.
so again, right now we can do but we can't do Word documents. Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I'll,
Like just having something
we'll
near something,
we'll
I don't
have
know
to
what
have
that means.
something.
But, you know,
Yeah.
like if I didn't know I couldn't print a Microsoft doc, how would
Yeah,
I know
you'd never
now?
you'd never go back to the library.
Right. Well, yeah, how would I know that you can now?
Yeah.
So I think we maybe need to do
Yeah.
something to say
Maybe we could put it in the monthly newsletter.
newsletter, maybe, yeah.
You know, it almost seems like shameful. Now you can print Word documents at the library. It's like, welcome to the year 2023. But yeah, that is a really good way to let people know. You know, at this point, obviously this budget's for 2024, so we won't even get the money. And then I need to talk to IT to get the server, but I will think about a marketing strategy for that.
Yeah.
And I just think
Put
could
up
be
a sign with balloons by
Yeah.
the printer.
sign of some kind, yeah.
Or she could stand there all day and just
Yeah, there you go. That's the best.
Get over here. Let's print a Word document.
Carrier sticks, come over, we're gonna talk.
All right, so I made a note to look into the credit card thing, and eventually we'll have to do a thing for new Wi-Fi. Just write one more note.
Maybe a little sign in the study rooms or something too, because people might be working.
Yeah, that's
with their
nothing
personal
fancy,
devices,
I mean, it just to kind of say, now you can.
I just thought of something else cool that this $2,000 gets us. It allows you to print from home. So you could be at home and get emailed a print job, and then you show up and just type in the code and it releases it.
Oh, nice.
Which is really nice.
Wow,
I think a lot of people would like that.
We are that at work. It's cool.
Technology.
How trouble do people put a
We
lot of
actually
things
use our
on there?
badges from work, and there's like a Wi-Fi reader, and you use your badge, and you badge tap the printer, and then it pulls up your pull print, it's called, and you just print what you...
Does it have like a maximum number? Like
No.
if someone is trying to print like 10 things?
No, because it doesn't print anything until you get there,
Okay.
and then I can even,
But
like,
the
let's
queue
say
is not, it doesn't have a maximum.
No,
That's great.
I've had a lot, yeah. But when you get there, then you identify what you want to print. Because I've accidentally go, I'm going to want this printed, and then when I get there, I'm like, I don't want it printed. You can just delete the ones that you don't want printed, too.
That's nice too.
It just kind of puts it in it's probably iCloud. It's probably just putting it in an iCloud and just holding it there until you're ready to print.
Yeah.
And that will be true.
does it categorize things by department, or this is a personal thing?
No, just like whenever you send it to print, it just kind of goes in that order of when you,
And that's true of our current release station. So if somebody printed a billion different things and then they go to the release station, they'll see every single print job they released, and they can choose to delete certain
I'm
ones.
sorry, that wasn't what I meant. For accounting purposes, you're in Department A, and then you do this, does it get charged to
it
Department
identifies
A?
it to the person that was printing, yes.
Okay. So ours is for personal use versus a company use too, but that's a great accounting feature, I guess, too, and see if anybody's abusing it, I guess, but.
Well, and
We're not
for
a
me, it
company.
was helpful because, like, I do evaluations on students and stuff, and my office was here, and the printer was, like, way over here, and I would print off their evals, and then I'd run over there to the printer and try to grab them before anybody would see it, you know what I
That's
mean?
the other
It's like
thing, is
this violation, you know?
Yeah.
So now I can just print, and then I go there, I'm standing by the printer, and then I'm getting my papers and stuff, so.
Well, and that's why we have the release terminal, because imagine you have 8 people printing at the same time. If it was all collating on the printer bed, people would be grabbing each other's things, privacy, things would walk off. So, yeah, it is really helpful to have that type of secure print feature.
Plus, they can see how many people are printing what.
That's what I say for accounting purposes, quote unquote.
Switching down to the revenue really quickly, Bridges has increased our cupola funding for next year. So we will be getting more money. They're trying to help. They recognize that our cupola, every library's cupola's costs are increasing, so they're trying to keep pace with that. And finally, we should consider this a success. People don't have as many fines because the app is so great and our texts are so great and everyone's on top of things. But I'm finally lowering the anticipated revenue for library fines because it's just based on historical trend. So.
Can I go back up for a moment to library friends expense? I'm just curious, it just made me think about the garden walk. Excuse me. When we say that we've raised $10,000, that doesn't include any expenses that we pay to the friends for any of this type of thing, or does it?
Expenses we pay to the friends. So we.
And maybe we don't pay any expenses on the garden walk. I don't know,
No.
but I just was wondering if when they raise something, if it's offset by the expense of it.
The only thing that we do in terms of expense is we'll print the marketing for them. And for a while, we used to charge them for that, but then they were just giving us money back, and it just seemed like a very much wasted effort. It's not like they can't print anything, so it's not like they're sitting at our copier all day just having fun. So anything that we print for them goes through me or staff, so we know that it's needed and whatnot. No, the Friends expense is things that we charge to the Friends.
Oh. Okay.
So if the Friends are willing to pay for a program, let's say,
I understand.
then we charge it to that expense account so that we know what we need to then get revenue from the Friends.
So that 10,000 number is a net number, really, for the garden walk.
The 10,000 is a net number. It does not subtract whatever we spent on marketing.
Got it.
And whatever they may have spent. They may have spent some things as well.
Oh, that's good news.
What does, after it says library grant, EXP, what does the EXP stand for?
Expense.
Oh, it is expense, okay. So there's an expense for a grant?
So if we get something as part of a grant, so let's say we decide, like the most recent grant that we got was for a magnifier for low vision. If you've ever seen the one that we have out there, it's ancient and not very good quality. So we got a grant, we bought the magnifier, but then when the bill comes, we have to charge it to an expense account. And so we create a library grant expense line item because we're charging it to the grant, and then the grant money that we get goes into the grant revenue line item.
Okay.
I don't like that, right? It's confusing, but we have to charge it to an expense account. My other option is that I could charge it just to library equipment because it's an equipment purchase and then do the revenue. But sometimes I like to just sort of keep track of the grants,
Right, it
keep
would get
track
lost
of the
in the
French stuff.
shuffle with
Exactly.
all of the.
Exactly.
Okay.
So the operating budget is not too bad. Again, we don't have the HR numbers in yet. Really, as you can see, there's not a lot of areas where I increased. I tried to keep everything flat, or there was a decrease. We would be looking so pretty if it wasn't for the stupid gas and electric, right? That's what's really making it seem like we're asking for more than the previous year. But I think everyone gets it, in terms of like that. So that is the operating budget.
Okay. Any other comments? Questions? Applause. Okay, hearing none, the motion is on the floor to approve, let's get the exact wording here. To approve the 2024 operating budget. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Motion passes on the budget. The next item, discussion and / action, approval of 24 to 2028 capital project plan. And I guess we'll move for approval here as well. Okay, so looking for a motion to approve the 4-year 24 to 28 capital project plan.
A motion.
Aye.
A motion.
Yeah, thank you, Michelle.
Second.
Thank you, Tracy. Okay, because 24, 25, 26, 27, that's actually a 5-year, not a 4-year.
Did I say 4
No,
years?
I said 4-year
Oh.
because I was just doing simple math, but then the more I thought about it, it's 5 years.
Oh, yep.
So it's a 5-year plan. Okay. I think you should go first, perhaps.
So what you have before you is a little bit the same and a little bit different.
I'm sorry.
I'll start with the exciting news first. In 2025, thanks to Tracy, we can leave it in here for now because I'll need to buy materials for the shed still. But Tracy had recommended at one point connecting with the school district because they have building trade classes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I contacted school district. And yeah, it seems like that's likely a thing that can happen. So,
great. Thank you.
What's really exciting too is that in the spring, it sounds like I'll go to the class sort of as a customer and tell them what I want, and they'll do the design and build up the plans, and then give me the budget. And I will come back to you and say I need money for these materials. And then when hopefully we get the money approved for the materials, then in 2025, 2026, they'll build the shed on site and then move it here. And it will house, a lot of our community garden stuff, other things that we need cold storage for that will free up some space. So thank you to Tracy for thinking of that referral. It's an exciting, it benefits us in several ways, and it's really exciting, as you said in the email, to see the kids, leave their mark on the library.
And is there anything we do for those kids?
Would you like to make them some brownies?
I'd love to.
Cupcakes, whatever you like.
Make sure the band is level first, and then we can make them.
They just are so excited
I
that
know
they
that.
have someone to build for.
I
It
know.
really
Same thing with
is
Eagle
nice.
Scouts. They're constantly looking for
Mhm.
projects. I know. But
And we'll have a new facility for them to
Yes,
be building.
right.
And so they'll put added extras.
Yes.
And there'll be, Mr. Britt will have sign. I mean, they'll all be a part of it. It's
Yeah,
very
good.
fun.
A little balcony off the shed so I can enjoy my morning tea as I look out over the sheepskin.
And of course, I have to have a question. The money that's allotted for that, then, is that just for materials, or would that number go down because there's no labor costs?
I have no idea. So that number was a very cheap shed that I originally came up with. And I made up that number by calling some people some years ago. But, I don't know what the cost of materials are going to look like. So I just ignore that number. We're just going to leave it there.
Just leave it.
As a placeholder for materials that we need. And then in the spring of this year, they will get me a number, and I'm really excited to work with them. So, and if you guys don't mind, let's talk about 2025 to 2028 first, and then we'll go back to 2024. The parking lot and the roof in 2025 and 2026, those numbers I'm sure will change, because those are numbers that I got from proposals I think a year or two ago. The parking lot is complex, and there's some things that I want to do to improve the parking lot, like widening the entryway. Nancy, I thought about your idea about an in and out, and I realized the out would not allow people to turn left. They'd only be able to ever turn right.
Not only that, but the county, that's a county
I think,
road.
yeah. So, but I do think we
That
can
was a great idea,
widen
though.
and level the entrance so the cars aren't bouncing and everyone's not afraid, that type of thing. So, I'm excited to do that project. We're starting to get potholes where, like, we're cold patching, but those potholes are starting to get a little bigger, plus that weird drainage pipe is seeping upward. It's going to be really fun to watch. So anyway, I do think 2025 is probably a good year to address this. So I just called a company to do a walkthrough with me to try to get some better numbers, and I'll call another company just to get some comparisons, so I have a really good number by this time.
And it's still going to grow. Good.
I know.
It's still going to, regardless.
Now, that doesn't get sent out for bid?
It will.
Oh,
it will.
okay.
So I need to get numbers, otherwise, but
Okay.
yeah, we will have to take the project.
That has to go out.
Mm-hmm.
Unless the school kids do it for us.
But there's a lot of, because we just did our driveway for our own house, and I put it on that Muskego Maine page or whatever, and the amount of local people that are doing, there's a lot.
Yeah.
And there's actually a couple kids who graduated from Muskego that are trying to start their own business too and stuff. So, so possibly.
Yeah.
I just love the idea of community.
Yeah.
The community works together.
Right.
You don't bring in.
And not to make myself seem like a cheapskate, but I do think 2025, aside from the fact that the condition's starting to deteriorate, but I really want to avoid having to stripe the parking lot again, and the lines are starting to fade. And striping it and seal coating it last time cost us about $7,000, and that was back in 2019. So I think by 2025 it will be a good time for us to do that project. The roof, I'm a little bit more like, I don't know, how long is the roof going to last? I don't like to roll the dice on a roof. We haven't had a ton of leaks, but I'm going to start getting more numbers for that. End of life for the roof is in 2026. When I talked to the city engineer last, that was the year they said that roofs, you need to usually start doing it this many years old. So we'll see if we get to that 2026, and that's still a project that needs to land there.
And sorry, does that cost include the gutters that you were talking about?
I
we need
think
to redo
so.
the gutters.
But again, I feel very uncomfortable about that number.
So much has changed.
Yeah, I do think that it's going to go up quite a bit. Because I can't believe a roof would be cheaper than a parking lot. But 2027, the key card access, that's again just a security thing eventually. City Hall has it. Basically, if someone loses a key right now, we have to rekey the entire building. If they lose their ID, you just deactivate the ID. I'm guessing, Tracy, at the hospital, they have it, what about the school district?
We have
it there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Which I guess are very efficient, from what I hear from Tim Berkey, because he was trying to get St. Leonard's to change to Bob's.
Yeah.
So.
And for that reason, you need to go in that building. All right, you can go to that building. Here's your access for this many days. After that, okay, you're back to your building. So it really makes it so efficient.
Yeah. So I would like to get that on the book. So there it is. Public furniture this is a project that when it came up in our last 5-year plan, I just didn't feel we needed to do it, so I kicked it down to 2027. Our public meeting room chairs, of the public meeting rooms, they're just, eventually at some point they're going to go. Right now they're in still fine condition, but I wanted to put that in 2027, and then when we get there, if for some reason they're still alive and kicking, we can push it back more. And then 2028, so that's our new year, right? So every year we add a year when a year falls off, so 2028 is our new year. That is our condensing unit, which is that piece back there, and that is an estimate. We're still waiting for a better number. End of life is 2028 according to maintenance.
That number will grow as well.
That number will grow, and that is not something that we can just stretch. I mean, like, if it breaks, we have a problem. So, I mean, I obviously would like to get every single ounce of life out of it as possible, because that's expensive, but I don't know what would happen if we lost it. That would be very uncomfortable, so.
The problem with stuff like that, I think, is nobody sees it. You know?
Yeah, it's not fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it's maintenance, and, you know, when you think about this 5-year plan, it's lots of exterior, right? Because the previous 5 years, we've been doing a lot of interior work, so it makes sense that after 23 years, we're now looking outward.
This is the time when maintenance is often good.
Okay, so that's 2025 through 2028. Does anyone have any questions about those projects?
Let me just for the benefit of the board say, since we have a motion on the table, we would be approving everything but subject to price change. I mean, we all have to be realistic to that. So is that, you think that's fair to be in the,
Yeah, I mean, the
without
plan,
saying that in the motion?
the plan is just the plan.
Stating the obvious.
This is what we show to council.
Yeah.
And council knows
Okay.
these numbers can change.
Right.
2024 is where it's like, this is the money I'm asking for now, this is the
Yes.
number that I need to
Sure.
be
We'll
more right
get to
of.
that in
So
a
does
minute.
this even need an approval?
Yes, because we are asking for money from the city, the 2024, and the city does want to see a full 5-year
Yeah,
plan.
they want to know,
Um,
yeah.
They always
What's
do,
coming
yeah.
up.
So we've always submitted a 5-year plan. They expect it from all the departments, so.
So you started with 2025, you never went back to 2024?
Yeah,
Right,
it is.
any questions about 2025
Yeah.
to 2028? We'll get to 2024, that's.
I guess I only have one question,
Mhm.
and that is, let's say the air conditioner does fail and it's not going to be fixable. Is that able to be addressed? I mean,
You mean like earlier than 2028?
right, like let's say
Yeah.
it happened in 2026.
So, fun question, and I don't want to happen. That's actually, when I submit my budget to the city, I was going to ask that question, because usually all of our capital projects, they've been important and helpful, but they haven't been like, we're going to boil, you know.
Right,
In
or
our-
if the roof actually gets a big hole in it.
Right.
Like,
So,
There would have to be something
obviously
done.
I would talk with the city. We do have some funds in the System and Expansion Fund, which at some point, not today, I would like to talk with the board about, like, are we going to make this into a reserve, make those funds into a reserve fund where we try to keep, like, emergency funds and try to keep them at a certain amount. Like, I would like to have that conversation with you all, because we've just been letting those accounts lie. And I would just like to have maybe a policy on, like, what the purpose of those funds are, but not today. But actually, my question, so those funds would be available for us to use, and I'm sure the city would want us to use them because they wouldn't have planned for it. But I do want to ask that question to the city now that the condensing unit is on the table, and now that the roof, because those are, we would not be able to wait. And I'm curious what happens in the city and on city properties when that comes up.
Right,
They
or
probably have
like,
experience.
if they approve for this year, would they take that away to pay for something else?
I could see that happening, yes. I could see that happening.
So these two estimates that are connected, are they the ones for 2024?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, so the ones, there's two separate ones for the bathroom,
No, so the,
or is this just the top portion?
yeah, so the packet
That's up
page
here.
22 is a general breakdown of building construction costs and soft costs with a total for the project. The second page is just a breakdown of the building construction costs. So the 166.47 is just more details about what that entails, like wall finish treatments, ceilings. So it's just a detailed breakdown. So
What's the top portion of 22? Page 22.
yep, the page, yep. correct. Whatever I said, yeah, page 23 is a more specific breakdown of what's happening in page 22.
Oh, where's your
Yeah,
stuff?
I don't know. My page
He's got
22
something
is
different.
fines and charges policy.
Do you have a packet from a different,
You handed it to me yesterday.
what packet, what does it say on it?
It says June 20th.
Yeah, that's,
Last month.
yeah.
I'm checking it for the 18th.
Thank you.
There you go.
You got it, okay.
And then this ProMax custom power coating, is that the one that you were talking about last month that came from the city?
Yeah.
That takes it local to the
Yep.
industrial park? Okay.
Yeah, so let's start with the lamppost and safety railing refinishing. So if you look at packet page 21, that's the estimate from the Muskego company ProMax. This is the company that the city's been using to sandblast and powder coat to protect from the rusting that's happening for the city's lampposts. So you'll see that the cost for that is about $1,000 a lamppost. We have 21 lampposts. The city would remove them and bring them to this company down the road, which is great, that we wouldn't have to pay to get somebody to do that. And then the railing, the safety railing, which is protecting against the 5 to 6 foot drop between Aurora and our driveway, is 216 feet of railing. Basically, they would do the same thing. They would sandblast, powder coat, remove it, or take it there, sandblast, powder coat, and then put stainless steel pipe around the base, because if you, hold on, I have a photo. If you look at the pictures, where it is rusting is at the base.
It's the same picture.
It's not, but I mean, essentially it's showing the same thing. So it's rusting at the base because the salt's been kicking up. It lasted 23 years, which is a good amount of time, but they're proposing putting aluminum stubs on the base so that it doesn't rust and rot out. They actually told me that the railing is in greater danger right now than the lampposts. I mean, the lampposts are rusting, certainly, and if you look at the lampposts, you will see that one's worse than that one, but the lampposts are also having issues, but he's more concerned that thing's going to rot at the base and fall over before the lampposts even. I did some research.
I can see that.
Okay.
If you read my cover page, where's my cover page? Did I not
While
have?
she's looking for that, is there anything in that Aurora building?
Yes,
Oh,
because I walked in there once to try to find someone to ask if we could borrow their parking lot for the art exhibit, and it was ghostly, but I did encounter a human.
Oh, I never see a car there, I never see any activity there.
Yeah, I'm actually going there for an appointment on the 31st, so.
With a doctor?
Do you guys not have a cover sheet in your packet that gives a summary of the capital projects?
No, just this. We have the draft.
Oh, I wrote up a whole thing that explained everything. Okay, hold on a second.
Now, page 19 is the budget, and then it goes right to 20.
I'm going to pull it up for you just a second, because it's the topic at hand. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I don't know how I missed that. Okay. There we go. So the first paragraph you saw the previous month. It talks about our wonderful rejuvenation the last 5.5 years. And really, everyone should be very proud. Again, People at the Garden Walk were just gushing about how the library looks. This is a credit to the city for funding the library. It's a credit to the board for advocating for those funds, for the staff for executing those projects. I mean, it is very common that visitors who come, or people who haven't been here in a while, talk about the quality of the building, both on the outside and the inside. So the work that we're doing to get these projects done has been noted. Okay, so let's talk about number 2 first, because that's what we're talking about. Okay, so the surface of the lampposts are rusting. We know this. It's the most cost-effective is to sandblast and powder coat the lampposts. It will preserve them, increase their life expectancy for the next 20 years. That's the prediction they gave us. Of course, it is cheaper to sandblast and powder coat them at $1,000 a pop than to buy new lampposts, right? So the safety railing off of Parkland, you saw the degradation. It lines our driveway, it protects from the elevation drop, and I know 5 feet doesn't sound super traumatic, but if your car goes over those 5 feet, your car will be stuck. So removing it, like I said, lining the fence footing with stainless steel, that'll prevent further corrosion. Reinstalling the fence, that's about $13,695. It's cheaper than a new fence, so if we were to get that same fence, it's 261 feet in galvanized steel or stainless steel, you see those costs $30,000 or $70,000. If we try a polycomposite fence, it'll be about $4,500 for 261 square feet. That's before install fees. That is certainly cheaper, but if a car runs into that, it's not as great of a safety measure. I added 5% inflation too, so you saw that the cost was $38,723. I added 5% for inflation just in case this type of cost goes up, so that's how I got to the $40,723. What I didn't write in here, the other material that I considered was what if we put up like a brick or stone wall. I feel like those costs wouldn't be any cheaper, and maybe it would be a little cheaper, but right now the railing is sort of see-through. It makes it feel kind of open. If we create a solid brick wall and then there's the retaining wall on the other side, I don't know if that'll be the greatest feel. And I don't think it'll save us a ton of money. If not, it might be more expensive. So I do think that we need to do this in 2024 because if we do have to get a new fence, if it rusts out, is a liability issue, but also it could be more expensive depending upon the material. So, any questions about the lamp posts or safety?
It does make a little concerning to me that we could do this for $5,000 and we're doing it for $38,000.
And how could we do it for $5,000?
The composite.
If it was aesthetic, or if we were trying to keep out like animals, like for like a residential fence, I would be okay with it because it won't rust. The purpose of it, though, is not cosmetic. It is to provide some protection, and I don't think we want to use polycomposite to protect against that elevation drop. So it is cheaper, but given the function that we need the railing to do, I don't think it's a material that would be wise to consider.
So it isn't as strong? Is that what you're saying?
Correct. Yeah. Like if you look at the description of polycomposite, it's designed for like yards. It's designed. That's. It'll keep in a dog, but I don't know if it would keep in a car.
I don't think any fence could stop a car, to be honest with you.
I mean, it depends on how fast it's going, and like,
yeah,
I mean, certainly if someone's ramming in full force, but if you think about what people are doing when they're driving in the dark, maybe they're just drifting a little bit. It would, just stop
would slide it with the long way probably instead of crashing into it the front way. But again, I understand the be concerned.
I
Anybody else?
I wouldn't mind
comments
just
about that?
looking at the situation, eyeballing the situation, rather than sitting here talking about it. Because I can't picture it right now.
So
I eyeballed it.
it's along the way to Parkland.
Yes,
That's,
I
that's
know what
the one that
you're
it is.
saying. I need a better visual.
Yeah. And
Well, not, oh, go ahead.
You could do Google Earth and pull it up.
do you want to see where it's located, Nancy? Is that what you're asking? Sure.
If you came north, like where Pick and Save is, and you just went directly across the street, that's
know
where
if
you would.
You ever come in that way?
You'd hit
Oh.
the fence, you'd hit,
Or
not
go
hit
to
the
Pick and
fence,
Save
but
from
you
the
would
library.
be going
Yeah,
up the
from that
hill with
window.
the fence.
No, it's not the fence that surrounds the library. That fence.
We asked that last
Yeah,
week.
that fence is made out of aluminum. That's
Yeah.
why it's not rusting. This fence was not. All right.
I thought maybe it was Aurora's property when I looked at
Nope.
it.
See, that's what I'm having a hard time visualizing.
No, it's ours because it's that green color.
Oh,
So there is Aurora's parking lot, Parkland, that's Pick and Save. Here is our lovely drive in from the back, and this right here is the right of way,
Okay.
261 feet.
If you do like a street view from Parkland, then we can see like how it drops down.
Oops, that didn't do that. Wait, we did. Yep. So I measured
Oh,
it.
there you
It's
go.
a 5
Thank you,
to
Carrie, that's much.
It's a 5
Yeah.
to 6 foot drop. I measured it. And it looks fine on the top, but it is rusting in the most important place, the stubs that go into the concrete. They wouldn't have to redo the concrete.
so like if it was icy and maybe a car slid into it, it might go over.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Sir?
And how high or low is the drop when you first come in from wouldn't that be the west?
A little bit less. The deepest drop is up here. It lasted for 23 years. So similar to the lamppost, they said this remediation would make it last another 20 years. So.
Thank you for that.
I certainly would like to spend the money on different things. It's not exciting. These projects, who said it? These projects are not exciting that are coming up. They're just necessary maintenance to.
I even question whether we could salvage that concrete.
They said they could.
Well, and then that brings me to the disclaimer at the bottom. I don't know if you had the city attorney look at their disclaimer. It's pretty broad and wide open here, which all disclaimers are. About, and it goes more to the lamppost. For an example, if they found that the insides of the electric mechanism were faulty or something like that, we'd have a whole bunch of parts costs. And so there, it's an estimate, but it's not a contract. I guess that's where they hold their price because they really exclude a lot on the disclaimer.
Well, and of course, I can't enter into a contract with them until I have the money.
Again, I totally get that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying this is a pretty, you could run into something and you could run into nothing. And I get that. But I just thought, maybe that might be something run by the city attorney.
Yep. Any estimate that I would have to sign, because you see, the estimate is basically becomes a contract once it's signed.
Okay.
It would be run past the city attorney before.
Okay, so that's how they do it. So okay.
Yep.
All right. So that was and I think the other interesting thing is, because Brittany and I did take a look at this, is when you look at the lampposts, and then across the street on the median, they have powder coated, and how would you describe that? Are they going to make it that gray color, or are they then going to color it? Like where they've done the bottom, aesthetically, it really looks terrific.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a value also, from an aesthetic perspective, not about the lamppost, not necessarily the fence, that is something that is, another reason why it's practical, but it also has an aesthetic impact that I don't know if you can put a dollar value on. We could try, but.
And we didn't have to put this out for 3 bids because they're already in contract with the city. How did that kind of get?
Yeah, so this is the amount of money that it would cost. I will talk with the city attorney and see if we have to, but similar to any time I get an estimate. The estimate is there for me to get an idea of how much it will cost. I haven't signed anything with them yet. So I'll talk to the city attorney. If I have to take it out to bid, I will. I don't know if this is really considered public construction, though. And so public construction requires you to take it to bid at $25,000 or above. This is maintenance and refinishing. It's not even building new things. It's painting. And in the past, painting has not been considered public construction. Also, there is something in the city's purchasing policy that states that you don't have to get 3 quotes. Even if you don't have to go do bidding, usually they want you to get 3 quotes. You don't have to get 3 quotes if there's already an established relationship and it's efficient to do so. So for me, given that the city is able to take it and because it's such a short distance, deliver it, to me it's most effective for us to use them. But I will confirm with the city attorney to make sure, if we get the funding, that this is not something we have to take to bid. But in the past, based on the definition of public construction, this doesn't fit it. So.
I hope those pictures will be worth 38,000 words.
Yeah.
Or 39, it's close to 39. And there's no sales tax on this project.
No, we're exempt from sales.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess.
Okay, all right. So, how did we do this? Okay, it's to approve the whole plan. Do you want to do the FEH?
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about bathrooms. Yeah. Okay. So, if you're in strategic planning, you will see a number that's higher than when we met last. And that is because the number that she gave me was an estimate. It was at about $160,000 last time we looked, but it didn't include the soft cost. That was just the construction. So, the number continues to be similar to, not similar. It is not any cheaper. Let's put it that way, right? So when we looked at it last year and we decided to wait, it's certainly not any cheaper. In fact, it's more expensive. Mm-hmm. The inflation that they tracked is about 5 to 6%.
And we said that. We acknowledged that.
Yeah, we knew.
Yep. I spoke with the city attorney about whether or not we could split up the restrooms. He was of the opinion that it technically wouldn't be discrimination because if our family restroom is done, then it is an accessible restroom that's available. However, I would recommend against this for a couple of reasons. One, I don't think there is 100% certainty that someone couldn't bring a lawsuit against us because having one toilet available to sort of say, this is good, while we've taken care of the other one, I think that opens us up to risk. I don't want to be the one to decide which gender gets to go first. I think that would be not a decision that, frankly, anyone here would really want to vote on. And then lastly, it would make the project overall more expensive. Every time we split it up, it gets more expensive. And what's the other thing that I had? Look at what happened. Our family restroom got 1 bid. It's not very competitive, right? Our study rooms got no bids. These are small projects when we split them up, and contractors are not hurting for work right now. And so they saw those small projects and they just decided it wasn't worth their time. The bigger the project, the more bidders we're going to get, and that's just better for our attempts to get a low bid. So I think that if we do this project, we should do the remaining bathrooms. I have an 11th hour idea that, frankly, I've only had about an hour to think about, but I'm just going to mention it. One of the complaints that we've gotten in the past is that there's no bathroom in the interior of the library, that everyone has to go out. It's been working fine. In 2018, right when I arrived, they were finishing up the plans. One of the goals was to try to see if they could fit a bathroom in the kids' area, but it was way too expensive to get the plumbing out there, so that was nixed. I was staring at the wall of the library today, and the question came up, what if we took the staff restroom, right now there's a weird shower in it, which we're going to eliminate anyway, it's gross. What if we cut that basically in half and put a door on the other side and made another bathroom open to the public in the interior? Now, like I said, I had about an hour with that idea. So all I can tell you is, I called the architect quick, all I can tell you is that would add $15,000 to the project, right? There's already plumbing there, which is why it doesn't cost more. Mm-hmm. It would mean, based on the sizes, that one of those two bathrooms would not be accessible. Now, we would have other accessible bathrooms at that point. I would maintain we need to keep the staff bathroom accessible because it's the only, not that they can't use the public restroom, but there's lots of public accessible restrooms. So the other bathroom would be slightly smaller, wouldn't have the turn radius required to be accessible. I'm not thrilled about that either. Also, I am trying to figure out, because like I said, I haven't had time to process this, but this is a now or never thing, right? Because we're doing the bathroom now, so it's either not, or, well, if you guys approve it. The question is $15,000 more worth having a bathroom in the interior of the building? It's a lot of money. I would say that for most people, it's fine to have the bathrooms where they are. The only time when it comes up is parents who are in the kids' area, and they're trying to give their kids some independence, but they still kind of want to keep an eye on them, but they don't want to drag their other children out of the kids' area. So, in theory, they could sort of stand near the kids' entrance, visually watch where their kid has gone, as opposed to now where they're just sending them out and around. But is that worth $15,000?
Yes.
I think if you added a bathroom there, no one would use the other bathroom.
I agree, that would probably happen. And it's kind of dangerous the way it's set up now, because somebody could hide in there, and there's nobody inside the library that's looking.
Yeah. I mean, right now, parents should go with their kids. I mean, that's what they do. And that's just part of the business.
Can we, I can't visualize this. Can I walk out there? Where is it at?
Elizabeth Barrett Browning. If you look at, the authors on the wall, that's where it would roughly be.
I'm saying this because I have a 3-year-old grandson who, when he has to go, it is hilarious. It is, I gotta go now, I gotta go. And I think of, if it's a quick shot for those kids, but I can see it.
And I haven't measured it. I don't know how many steps it saves. It probably saves a couple. I wouldn't call it a ton. It's not like we're on a second floor and people have to launch themselves down.
I don't know. I was totally against the bathrooms in Bay Lane for the Cape Board group because it was $150,000, and I thought, why can't they just walk down the hallway and go to the one that's down the hallway? And I got voted out. So I don't know. Bathrooms this seems like a lot of money that we could be invested in taking care of what we have now, which is not that great.
Yeah. And like I said, I I feel uncomfortable with it merely from the perspective of I just thought of it, and I would prefer to do more vetting. This is a quick number, this 15,000. I mean, she did the math for me.
I'm going to object to, I'll wait till Tony comes back.
Yeah.
Because it is going to be neither soundproof nor smell-proof, and I don't think we need that in the interior of the library.
What? That sounds amazing. Yeah.
That's just my opinion. I don't need to hear a toilet flushing when I'm...
True.
That, I mean, that's an interesting point. I didn't even think about
Or
that.
people in and out during a, performance
Yeah.
or whatever, or studying, or
Yeah.
you're going to have teenagers in there together during heavy... I'm not saying like doing inappropriate things,
Sure.
but I mean girls go together and you're going to hear loud voices or...
Yeah. I mean, it would be one
Flushing
stall.
or-
It would be.
It would be more like a family bathroom.
It would not even be that big. It would be like toilet, pedestal sink. It would be small. It would not, like I said, be accessible, which I have my own issues with knowingly planning a bathroom that's not.
And what happens to the staff, or are they not using their room anymore?
It's just that there's like several feet of space that could be saved because we just don't need the shower.
Oh,
But, I mean,
okay.
otherwise it just stays the way it is. Okay, so, Michelle, you had something.
Yes. So Tracy objected for cost, right? Not to speak for you, but
Well,
I'm
and I was
objecting.
against the bathrooms at Bay Lane. I just thought that was not good, well spent money to put bathrooms in the K4 area when they can just walk down the hallway and get to the ones that are outside the main, where the where the lunchroom is. There's bathrooms right there.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Well, now they're making to me, it just not.
I had a question. How much do people complain about where they are now? A little bit? A lot?
So here's the thing. It was complained about enough in 2018 where they tried to build it in, right? Because they did, what do they call it?
I don't even know.
Charrette's process. Like they did lots of studies with patrons, and it bubbled up as one of the priorities. But it was basically put to bed because it just wasn't
I don't even remember.
possible. No. And so I would say that people are just like, that's just the way it is. I haven't had any write-in comments about it, maybe one or two from like the previous strategic planning process.
Okay.
And Tony, what?
When I went out there, it's a long ways from the children's.
Yes.
Yeah,
But if
it's
I
not
did-
a quick shot.
Yeah.
I thought it was straight
Oh,
across.
sure, yeah.
I didn't realize it was down.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I did go to the restroom earlier when I left, and there were kids out there messing around, running and playing, which that's what kids do.
I'd pick a different area to play in the library.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it sounds,
in there.
and I'm sorry, did you actually say where you were going to stay there?
No,
The
I was just
flushing
going to
and the
say
smell?
I'm objecting for aesthetic reasons because it's not going to be soundproof or smell-proof. And in the interior of the library, I don't necessarily want to hear a toilet flushing
Mhm.
if I'm quietly doing whatever, or a
Yeah.
performance, or something's going on. And I think kids will be, when it's busier with teenagers and things,
Mhm.
we're asking for more noise.
And because before I went through having to walk and had to ask and all of this, it doesn't save any
Yeah.
steps
It's
to get
more
a
just
kid
a
in there to
visual
go to the
thing,
bathroom. Yeah.
Okay, so ROI not great, expensive, smelly, noisy, not very quick to get there. Thank you for enduring this little thought exercise. I just figured we should have the conversation now because
Now, yeah.
right, now is the time.
Right.
Okay, very good. Okay, so then the bathrooms otherwise, similar to what before. There's some ADA issues. The vanity sink's too high. The paper towel dispenser's in the wrong place for maneuvering clearance, and it's too high. There's several other issues aside from just the fact that it's wallpaper in there, which is gross. It's peeling. Other stuff like that. So this project would fix those things. Right now, the restrooms are protected by the safe harbor law, but again, once we start making improvements, we need to improve them.
I know you're all gonna point fingers at me, but this is a library. I don't come here to pee, you know?
I don't either, but when I want to go, I would like it to be clean
I
and
agree.
presentable.
I agree with that, but
And I think 23
our
homes
purpose,
are like
our
that.
purpose is not for people to relieve themselves. Our purpose is to provide.
Yeah, but I think it's an expectation in public buildings. You would have a
Yeah, we do
facility.
definitely need, absolutely, we need it. But I don't think we need to build the Taj Mahal that.
No.
No, but the bathrooms that we do have here now, I mean, there's water on the countertops
Well,
because they're not
I
they're not
agree
very
with something.
clean.
Yeah.
And like some of the doors aren't closing all the way, and there's
They're
they
just
definitely
wear and
need to
tear.
be done.
Mhm.
And I know you're against doing half and half or whatever, but if that's what the budget we can allow to get done, then I say go for it. Because like I don't think that it's something that we need to like wait till there's like $300,000 put aside for it or whatever. I think we just need to do it in phases. I mean, people do things in phases all the time.
They do.
So because that's all they can afford, right?
Right.
It's financially, what can you do?
I think,
and I just want to say that knowing what I know and what we go through at schools and having equal and all of that, that to do both of them be done and have them all nice, neat, buttoned up in one shot. The prices are only going to go up, and all of the things that are happening in our world. I mean, it's just, why didn't you do ours? How come they got this? How come they did blah, 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 blah.
And
I understand.
I don't know.
Yeah, but I just see the prices going up and up. We did a reno in our house, and a couple of the things we did, they went up so much because then they become cost prohibitive, and you can't get the same materials. They aren't as nice. I just like the idea of having them both done, and we move forward. That's my 2 cents.
Right, but it's a cost thing. You know, you're talking $300,000 or $1,500,000. You know, like, what can we afford in the budget, and what can we look at as something that can be attained? I don't know.
I recommend we ask, right? We don't know what this year's asks are going to be. So maybe we end up having to negotiate and, you know, take half the money or take less. I will say that obviously inflation and inefficiencies do make it more expensive, and I just want to capture the projected cost for this project for 4 bathrooms, family restroom, staff restroom, men's and women's, in 2022 was $184,000.
Wow.
To do 3 bathrooms this year is $181,000. So the family restroom that we're spending like $70,000 on, if we had done all 4 of them last year, and there's no way we can predict that, and there's not, that's not me trying to say we should have done, you know, differently. We do what we can to get the money we can, but it's not an insignificant number that went up. And if there is a way that I can present to council and say that it benefits the city in the long run, not only for the efficiencies of project management, but also to save $70,000, if I could say to them, let's do them all at once, I think that's an appealing case to at least try to make. And then if they say the budget's not here, then maybe we try to negotiate. So that would be my recommendation. I think it's better for the city overall if we try to save them money on the project, and I think this is the way to do it.
So we can go and you can ask them, and then the negotiation starts.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
we could go and ask for the full amount, and they may say yes, or they may say no.
Yeah, I mean, they could can the whole project, right? There could be nothing. So
the ask occurs at the meeting itself. Is that what you're saying about asking, or are you talking about a preemptive?
So I bring these numbers to the mayor, and then the mayor looks at this request and all the other city requests, and then he looks at the available money, and he tries to put together
So
a budget
this
to
is
present.
before the actual common council meeting?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep. So
And then does he prioritize?
he works with the department heads to prioritize. Yep. So there's more layers to this.
Yeah, because
but
remember when we went to common council, and we were kind of like, I'm glad we didn't put the whole amount in. you know,
Yeah, I
at
mean,
the time.
at the time,
so-
but that was last year.
Right,
I don't know what.
totally understand,
yeah,
but
I
I'm
don't-
just saying,
yeah.
well, we know way before then, so.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the mayor will be looking at this and he'll have follow-up conversations with the department heads. So really this vote is to say, if we were the only kings of the universe right now, like what would we want for the library? And then from there, they decide what we can actually afford. So we don't have to balance the budget quite yet. We just have to say, you know, what projects need to be done. And this is the cheapest way to do the bathrooms if you look over the course of the project.
And I think a fair assumption probably is every department is doing the same thing, so.
Mhm. Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, and
this
I
would-
mean-
This would be the time to go in with this and see how it flies, I guess, if that's what everybody wants to do.
And we have been very fortunate over the years. The city council and the mayors, multiple mayors have supported most of our projects. There was one time that we had to move the YA remodel to next year, and then it got done. So it happens. All we can do is, you know.
So even throwing it out there puts it on their radar. He can say yes, no, maybe so, what have you.
Yep.
Or he can determine if it needs to be split. So our concern is that we're asking for too much. I'm just asking clarification.
So we have the family one approved already.
Yep.
Correct? And
Yep.
how much is that one costing us?
That is going to cost us, the projected total cost is $70,493. Because a lot of those soft costs and construction costs are going to get repeated the next time around, right? Because
So this quote for the 181,000 is for
the other
the
three.
bathrooms.
Yep, the other three. So the family restroom, we have the money, the library board sent it to the mayor and council. The mayor and council approved it last year. For this year, we took the project to bid. The bid was awarded. It was within budget. It'll probably be under budget, actually. It'll probably be under 70 because the bid was, for construction cost was around 30, but then we have construction documents and architect fees and things like that. So yeah, I believe it'll be under 70,000. We'll have money left over. Which could be true for this one too. It might end up being under 181. This is just an opinion of probable cost. They have to assume that people may not bid low, but again, with a larger amount, we're going to get more bidders. And if we get more bidders, it means they're going to know it's competitive and they're going to give us lower bids. So.
I have just a question. So we're going to demo 3 bathrooms at the same time, right?
No.
Okay.
No. What we will do is demo 1, and the family restroom will be there, and it'll be hard because that means
Right.
You know.
People will have to wait.
yeah, and then we'll demo the other one, and it'll be hard because then the other group will have to wait, but they'll use the family restroom.
Right. Okay. That's what I wanted to make sure. I thought
Yeah.
when you said we would do them all at the same time, and it's like, well, that leaves one bathroom for everyone.
That would not be great. That would not be great.
Especially if Tony's grandson.
And he yells really loud, I have to because little boys do those things, as you all know.
So was that previous bathroom in the 2023 budget?
The family restroom?
Yes.
It was, we talked about it in 2022 and voted to do the project in 2023. And so in 2022 last year, in July, the library board voted that in 2023, we want this project done. And then I took that project and sent it to the mayor and said, this is what we decided for a capital project, that and the study rooms. And the mayor looked at it, looked at the other capital projects, decided it could fit in, brings the capital budget of all the departments to council. Council looks at it in September and October, evaluates it. They make some cuts, they make some adds, they have those conversations, and then ultimately in October, they vote in October of 2022 on what will the capital project budgets be for the departments for 2023. So once January 2023 hits, then the department heads can start, executing those projects, which is what we're doing right now with the family restroom, and what we're trying to do with the study rooms.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Why is the it's July, and we're not seeing any work being done on that bathroom.
On the family restroom?
Yeah.
So we took it to bid in the spring, and then we got bidders, and then I brought it before the library board, and you guys approved the acceptance of the bid. So then I had to take it to council to just review that we could enter into contract, and just at the July 11th meeting, they approved that.
Okay.
So now I just emailed the architect today. She has to get me the formal contract. The library board president will sign it, and then we can start work.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's
a long process.
Yeah.
So realistically, this could happen to us then next year, that these other bathrooms won't even get started till July again.
It could, yeah.
Okay.
Now, I would like to start the bidding process sooner in the year.
So that makes more sense.
Now,
because if you got it approved in October, I would have sent those bids out before the end of the year so that you could get those prices.
yeah, I didn't have time,
Yeah.
you know, so.
A goal for this one.
But the good news is, also I have never taken a project to bid before because we haven't had any public construction projects. They've all just been ones that I get quotes for. The children's area was a public construction project, so it was a huge learning curve for me on figuring out how to write resolutions. What does the bid process look like? How to publish the bids? Those were all things that I had to talk with the city about. I didn't know how to do it. So the good news is that it'll be faster. The other good news is that we have the schematic designs that we already paid for these other bathrooms. Otherwise, this $181,000 would be about $20,000 extra. We've already paid for the schematic designs for the other bathrooms, and they're there waiting for us. So the good news is this process would go a lot quicker if we get the bathrooms approved. One, because I know the public bidding process now, and two, because we have the schematic designs. We can turn those around to construction projects, or construction documents, and get them to bid faster. So I am anticipating a more efficient process.
That was going to be one of my questions. So you do the family, and then a different contractor does the other two, and what if they look different, but they really can't, except for the tile that's picked, any of those kinds of things. So, will we own all of that information, or will the contractor own that information?
We own the construction documents.
That's what I would.
We paid a mint for them,
Yeah,
so there are.
but as far as the design decisions, as far as what it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, they'll give us all of the brands of the tile
Okay,
and
they're
all that stuff.
required
So,
to, and we can have.
But the board doesn't have to approve those kinds of.
oh no, sorry, I won't be doing
No,
that.
I just didn't want them to say, well, too
We would
bad,
never
it's
get out
another
of our
20
meeting.
grand to buy the aesthetic information. I just didn't
Nope.
want anything like that. It's one thing to have the schematic plans done.
Yep.
But then another on that. Let me just play devil's advocate for just a moment. The amount for this is so close to the roof, for an example. And I realize the roof is an estimated number. Okay, I understand that.
Yeah.
And somebody on the council could say, well, why does it cost as much for 2 bathrooms than what you're projecting in 2026 for a whole roof? That to me is going to be the hardest question to answer. Maybe you have a way around it.
Yeah.
But that's, I know how much a roof costs. Like we're all homeowners, we put a roof on and we know it's going to be a huge expense.
I just did.
Yeah, and I did ours not that long ago. But then we're looking at 2 bathrooms, and if I remodel 2 bathrooms in my place, it would be less than the roof. And that's why I thought maybe I'd run that by you.
Yeah, so it's a good question. My answers to them would be, don't trust that number. It's years old, and I don't think it's right.
10 years away.
Yep. I would also tell them that these are commercial bathrooms. They're not residential bathrooms, so you're going to be using commercial grade everything. And that it's not just one stall, right? There are multiple toilets, multiple everything.
I could see somebody asking that.
Yeah. So when you look at a commercial bathroom, it's almost like, aside from the products that you're using to withstand commercial grade, we have 115,000 people coming through the library. Let's say a quarter of them use the bathroom at one point that year. That's a lot of people. But also because it's a multi-stall, it's just, we can't compare it to.
Sold.
And I think it's like, if you're talking about roof versus bathrooms, it's like apples and oranges. They're totally different.
Well, sure, but everybody's a homeowner and they probably remodeled their bathrooms and they put on a roof. And I'm just saying, based on a roof is always so much more.
I mean,
And that was, I was saying, they're very similar quote numbers. That's all that I was trying to do here, is bring out that topic.
I mean, I can change the 2026 roof number, because I'm sure it won't be that. The only thing is I would literally be picking
Something out of the air.
any random number.
Right.
I could add 5% to it, because inflation is, I could add 10% because inflation over 2 years, I could do that. If we're trying to make it at least a little more realistic as they're looking over the 5 years.
No, I think your answer was excellent. I just was saying,
It's a good point, though.
why does a roof cost $190? And you explained what that number was. So anyway, I'll leave it at that, but just kind of wanted to
Yeah.
play devil's advocate for a second.
It's the same thing if you look at the parking lot costing $190, which is the same as the bathrooms. I don't know.
Well, the
So
parking
of
lot's
course
$230.
You gotta park the Fido.
All right.
Anyway,
I would put it out there though, if
okay,
you were
so the motion-
remodeling,
Sorry, hold on.
if you were remodeling and you were down to the family area and one sex of the whatever, to offer the staff bathroom at that point in time might have to be an option.
It might,
Yeah.
and it's tricky because if you know where the staff restroom is, it's in the heart of the staff area. But yeah, we'll do what we have to do.
Tell the members out. I
We'll,
don't know
we'll,
how many people are using our bathrooms that much, but.
we'll do what we have to do.
Yeah.
Absolutely, we don't want emergencies.
She just
Or
brought up a
accidents.
good point. Do we know how many people use the bathrooms? Do we have any way of?
Please don't make me do that job.
Oh, my God. With the clicker. Just like at Costco. Hi, nice to see you. Thanks. Go ahead. Yeah.
We did a survey of the bathrooms, which by the way was really hard to do back in the day. Because nobody wants to answer a survey in a bathroom, and nobody wants to talk about bathrooms with you, so we put it outside the bathrooms, and people did sticker and talk about what they wanted to see done, and so, I mean, I don't know if I can give you a good number, but we did talk to people about that.
Well, and it also could be just the people using the outside rooms too, using it, and you wouldn't really pay attention to what's happening in those rooms.
They may be coming in off the street to use.
Because I remember doing
Right.
Girl Scouts here,
And
and
the
the Girl
meeting
Scouts all use the bathroom in and out and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I think the bathrooms get used quite a bit, actually.
I mean, we pay for a lot of toilet paper.
Oh, that would be actually it.
It is
Yeah,
the
you haven't
where
worked
there's
out how many
public
squares per
bathroom, you know?
visit.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I think we would be doing here is, assuming we approve for a moment, just approving you to go and have this initial conversation with the mayor, these documents. Is that, are we being, I want to make sure we're voting on what we all think
Yeah.
we're voting on.
So what you're voting on is for me to present this 5-year plan. Forget about the quotes and whatnot. I mean, I'll show that to him if he wants some background as to where I'm getting the
Okay, so
numbers from.
just
But
that one
really,
page.
what the mayor and finance are asking for from each department head is what is a 5-year plan with estimated costs. that
Yeah,
you're
and not anything like that either would go into that.
Nope, but I'll always have it with me for
Yes.
in case I, for
Okay.
when I have the discussion. But
All
yeah,
right.
they're basically looking for this.
I mean, what you're really proposing is that the fence and lampposts get redone and the bathrooms get redone.
Correct.
And just,
Yeah, and
Yes.
they want to see the 5-year plan, but very rarely in council do they talk about anything else but the year at
budget.
hand. So,
Yeah. So, okay, so we all understand what we're voting on, not necessarily are the bathrooms worth it or anything like that. We're just voting on this actually, page 20. We did, okay. Any other further discussion? Would you like to have the vote? Ready? Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. We are set. Passed unanimously as far as I
did
can
anyone
tell.
abstain? No one abstained?
No one abstained.
I
And
don't know, the bathroom companies. We have a cleaning company, but.
Of course, I didn't vote.
Right, yeah, so I think motion
Okay.
passes 6 in favor.
Okay, I think we are at communications and miscellaneous business as authorized by law. Anything? Hearing none, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
I'm sorry, who first did?
I don't know.
I
Lay
think
down
so
there.
moved.
Okay, so Tracy first, Phyllis second.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned at 7 o'clock sharp.